My mic was muted. It would not be a video or a stream with me if I didn't have some kind of mishap. Anyways, I was saying, hey, my loves, what's up? It's Thursday, so you know what that means. YouTube Thursdays, show horror reaction, something is dropping on Thursdays. We are now a live streaming YouTube because I have no space to record videos. Beforehand, sorry for any background noise, whatever. Let's move on with it. Um, so this is what I mean by quick movie reacts, and it's basically you're basically watching the movie trailer, but it's the whole movie at the same time, and they are really interesting. They're really good. This is like that's why I call it quick movies because it's literally the fastest way to watch movies. You could literally sit and watch like 1,000 movies. I'm over exaggerating, but you could literally sit and watch 1,000 movies in like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first one is called Woman, but they don't really put the name of the movie. They just give like a little call to action phrase, I guess you could call it. So this one is Woman falls in love with a man, but she soon realizes she is not human, and it's from Film Recaps. And let's go. As I said, these are blind reacts, and the only reason why the video got the red bar at the bottom is because I have to get my thumbnails from them, so it make it seem like I watched them already, but I never watch these without y'all. I always watch them with y'all. So hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay. All right, so boom. I'm guessing soon as the video gets started, they'll say the title of the movie, which is good, and they'll say the year that it's from, just in case you guys want to watch these. Well, I mean, you're watching them with me, but just in case if you want to watch like the whole movie. All right, let's go.
The movie opens with a woman named Iris grocery shopping in a supermarket.
All right, hold on. Okay, there we go. Jesus. Like I said, it wouldn't be a stream with me if I don't mess up at some point. All right, so hopefully, guys, you heard that. This movie is called Champion from 2025. Like I said, once the video gets started, they'll let you know what the name of the movie is, just in case you want to watch the whole movie yourself. So that's good. All right, now let's go.
She comes across a guy named Josh, with whom she instantly feels connected.
Oh, that's my
Josh
girl
nervously tries
from
to speak to her,
Yellow
but
Jacket.
accidentally knocks over a pile of oranges. This makes the two laugh, and Iris narrates that there were two moments in her life when she found her true purpose. The first was the day she met Josh, and the second, surprisingly, was the day she
She
killed
look
him.
nice with dark hair.
The scene then cuts to some time later,
And you
when
know
we
what,
see that they are now a
she got
couple,
dark hair.
and
I
are
couldn't
driving
even
off somewhere.
remember.
They soon arrive at a luxurious lake house in the middle of the woods, where they intend to spend the weekend. Before entering, Iris becomes nervous because Josh's friends will be there, and someone named Kat hates her. She worries she will do something stupid and embarrass Josh, but he assures her that she'll be fine. An excited Kat then warmly hugs
Oh,
Josh,
she
but
pretty.
gives Iris a cold shoulder, making the situation awkward.
Oh boy.
Once inside, Josh meets another one of his good friends, Eli, and his
I didn't even
boyfriend,
realize the
Patrick.
thumbnail was her.
Shortly after, a Russian man named Sergey arrives, and turns out he is the owner of the
Let me make
house.
sure y'all can hear this.
But he creepily stares at Iris, making her extremely uncomfortable. She thus excuses herself, and heads to the guest room to take a shower and relax. In the evening, the group gathers for dinner, and Patrick recounts the story of how he met Eli at a Halloween party. He admits that in that moment, something inside him clicked, and his life suddenly made sense. Iris shares that something similar happened to her when she met Josh. It was as if a piece inside her that was broken was suddenly fixed. Afterward,
All
Iris
right,
and
y'all.
Kat talk privately, and we learn that Kat is dating
Second. Give me 1 second, cause fuck no. Hold on. All right, y'all. I'm back. I switched over to the background noise canceling headphones because fuck that. Like, what the fuck? I switched over to the background noise canceling headphones because fuck that. Like, what the fuck? I'm gonna make sure I have these on from now on because, like, no, not gonna have that all of that in the back of my video. Like, no. Let's continue.
Sergey, although he's married. Kat reveals that she's only with him for his money, even though he's a terrible boyfriend and a misogynist. Here, Iris suddenly asks if Kat doesn't like her, and the latter admits it, and explains that it's because Iris makes her feel replaceable. A surprised Iris responds by praising Kat's personality, and assuring her that no one can ever replace her. Soon after, Eli puts on some music, and encourages everyone to dance. During this, Kat and Josh appear close, which makes Iris feel jealous, so she pulls him away to dance with her alone. Later, the two are seen making love, and afterward, Iris expresses how happy she's to be with him, but Josh isn't in the mood to talk and simply orders her to go to sleep. The next morning, when Josh asks Iris about the weather, she gives him the forecast in such detail, like 72 degrees, with an 83% chance of rain in the evening. She then tries to convince him to accompany her to the lake, but Josh claims he's hungover and encourages her to go alone. We also see him slip a small knife into her pocket without her knowledge.
The fuck? I forgot to say hello. Grab your snacks, grab your food, grab your drink, grab your blunt, grab your goods, and come and watch this YouTube Thursday with me. I be forgetting.
Once she's out of the house, Josh plugs a
And why would he
USB drive
put
into his cell
a
phone.
knife in her pocket? Like,
When
what is
Iris
going
reaches the
on?
lake, she discovers the knife in her pocket and is left confused. Suddenly, Sergey shows up and greets her with a good morning, while staring at her inappropriately. This makes Iris uncomfortable, and she tries to leave, but he stops her and requests that she apply sunscreen to his body. She reluctantly obliges, but the situation takes an unexpected turn
This is
when
some
Sergey
homemade
forcibly
safety.
holds her hand. Iris begs him to let go, but he responds that it was Kat's idea, and starts kissing her. Later, the rest of the group is chatting inside the house when Iris suddenly returns, covered in blood. Everyone is shocked, and Iris explains that she didn't intend to do it, but Sergey forced himself on her. Kat storms off to find Sergey, while Iris drops the knife on the floor.
Hold on, because he did that on purpose. He sent Sergey, wait, so they said his name is Sergey out there to her. He knew she was going out there. And he purposely put the knife in her pocket because he's trying to make her seem like she crazy or something is wrong with her. Y'all can't tell me that's not exactly what happened. Y'all can't tell me that's not exactly what happened. I'm calling it. I called it.
And tries to explain what happened. In a flashback, we see that when Sergey tried to assault her, Iris struck him with an alcohol bottle, causing him to hit his head on a rock. The enraged man quickly got tense, Iris pulled out the knife and stabbed him in the neck. Iris frantically explains that it wasn't the pain of being strangled that prompted her to take this action. It was actually the thought of not being able to see Josh again. And then this happens.
Iris, go to sleep.
In a shocking twist, her
What?
eyes roll back in her head, and she immediately deactivates, revealing that Iris is actually a robot. We then see Patrick tying Iris's hands and feet to a chair. Eli and Josh then have a chat, during which Josh
What?
explains that Iris's condition could be a glitch, as companion robots are programmed not to cause harm. They decide to
Wait.
report everything.
Wait, I know. Sorry, I keep pausing. I know I usually don't pause, but it's being the fact that the commentator is talking as well. I don't want to talk over him, so we won't miss anything. What? I'm thinking it's gonna come like later in this this film recap. Maybe he didn't know, the boyfriend Josh didn't know, maybe other people didn't know. So is Kat a companion robot too? What? That's crazy.
To the cops. But in the meantime, Josh wishes to say goodbye to Iris. He then sits in front of her and asks her to wake up. But he says he believes her, as lying is not part of her programming. This confuses Iris, so Josh finally tells her that she is a companion robot, designed to fulfill emotional and physical needs. She expectedly doesn't believe this, so Josh pulls out his phone and makes her speak different languages.
Spanish.
Josh, no sé hablar español.
How
¿Qué
about
está pasando?
Chinese?
怎么回事?
He also reveals that everything Iris remembers, including attending college, working summer jobs, and even the day they met in the supermarket, is not real. They are just false memories implanted in her system to provide a backstory. Next, Josh begins to tell her what the day they met was actually like. Some employees of the company had delivered Iris as a package. She was programmed to be obsessed with him, and Josh had complete control over her behavior.
Obsessed?
He could change her voice, intelligence, and even reset her to factory settings by pressing a fingerprint sensor behind her right ear for 5 seconds. Josh then signed a user agreement, synced his phone with her, and established a love link between them. Upon hearing this, Iris is still skeptical since she can feel different emotions such as pain, anger, and sadness. But Josh reveals it is merely programming, and points out that even her tears are just water. Their conversation is interrupted by Kat, who is outraged to see that Josh has turned Iris back on. But he takes her aside for a private conversation, and explains that he just wanted to say goodbye to his robot girlfriend. He is excited that their plan worked out, and all that remains is to reset Iris' settings and turn her off.
The plan?
While they're talking, Iris desperately tries to free herself, and reaches for the knife she dropped earlier. Later, when Josh returns to Iris, he finds her lying on the ground. She abruptly hits him in the throat, causing him to scream in pain. Iris then notices his phone, which controls her, and immediately grabs it.
Oh,
Before running away, she advises Kat to apply an ice pack to Josh, and take him to the hospital if his situation doesn't improve. Afterward, Josh and Kat meet with Eli, and Josh shows him a mod. He reveals that he used this to gain access to Iris programming, and increase her aggression and self-defense capabilities. This shockingly reveals that he manipulated Iris into killing Sergey, and Kat was also involved in the plan. Josh
what I said. What I said. What I said. Then I say it. I be knowing. I be knowing. I be knowing. I be knowing. All right, so I guess it's all cleared up that Kat is definitely not a robot. Iris is the only robot. And what they mean plan? Like, plan what? Y'all trying to... Does everybody... All right, I got mad questions. Does everybody have a fucking companion robot and y'all just... Like, are you trying to take out the fucking... his employer or whatever from the inside out? Are you trying to make it... like, make companion robots a bad thing? Are you trying to start a fucking robot war? I got mad questions.
insists that they need to find Iris before her manufacturing company, Empathix, does. But Eli starts questioning why they would do such a horrible thing. In response, the two take Eli and Patrick to Sergey's safe, which Kat opens with a passcode. It turns out to be filled with $12 million, which leaves Eli in shock. Josh offers to split the money 3 ways in exchange for his help in finding Iris. However, Eli argues that Patrick must also be involved and receive his share of the money. This leads to an argument between them, during which Eli unexpectedly shuts Patrick down. It is then revealed that Patrick is also a robot, which is why Josh is refusing to pay him. After some arguments, Eli eventually agrees to help them and grabs a gun from Sergey's safe. Josh states the gun is unnecessary, as they only need to get close enough to put Iris to sleep and remove the mod from her system. But Eli points out that she has Josh's phone and knows his password, which makes her too dangerous. He wakes Patrick up and excitedly informs him that they are going on a robot hunt. In the woods, Iris uses Josh's phone to access her control panel, and disables the voice commands. She then starts messing around with the robot settings. In the end, she realizes her intelligence level is set to 40%, and increases it to 100%.
Oh, he done made her dumb.
Meanwhile, the group is desperately searching for her in another part of the woods. They decide to split into 2 teams to corner her from all sides, making it easier to attack her. On the other hand, Iris begins to predict what will happen in specific scenarios, and what she should do. After considering various options, she decides to return to the lake house without being discovered, and to use Josh's automatic car. The car is also controlled by Josh's phone, so is her best option to return to the house in the city. Moments later, Iris notices Eli and Patrick's presence in the distance, so she hides behind a tree. Eli is furious that Josh altered Iris's programming to commit murder and didn't even bother to tell him. This upsets Patrick, and he asks if Eli would ever alter his programming. Patrick surprisingly confesses that he has pieced things together over the years, and knows he is a robot. But he doesn't care because, in his mind, his memory of meeting Eli is real, and it's something he will always cherish. Upon hearing all this, Eli is shocked, and promises that he will never treat him the way Josh treats Iris. However, their moment is cut short when Josh's cell phone rings, giving away Iris' hiding spot. She quickly runs away, and Eli fires several shots at her, all of which miss. But Eli eventually catches up to her and launches an attack. The two fight over the gun, during which Iris is forced to shoot Eli dead in self-defense. This devastates Patrick, so Iris apologizes to him and flees, with Josh following her.
I be trying to catch them.
Soon enough, Iris manages to get inside Josh's car, locking the doors, while Josh yells at her to come out. Iris orders the car to return home, but the computer doesn't obey, as it doesn't recognize her voice. Josh seizes this opportunity, and tries to break through a window with a rock. However, Iris modifies her voice using her settings, making it deeper and more masculine. After several attempts, she successfully matches his voice and drives away from there.
Oh.
And so, Josh uses Sergey's phone to report the car as stolen. Unfortunately for Iris, this causes the vehicle to become instantly disabled, and locks Iris inside. She then gets a call from Josh, who apologizes for being a shitty boyfriend. He suggests they go back to the way things were, and claims he can place all of the blame on Patrick. This makes Iris feel emotional, but she knows she can't trust him, so she decides to end their relationship, which leaves Josh frustrated. Next, Josh returns to the woods, where Patrick is in mourning for Eli. At this point, Josh uses Eli's phone to increase Patrick's aggression to max, and commands him to find Iris and retrieve his phone. But the distraught robot doesn't obey his voice commands, so Josh resets his system. Josh then establishes a love link with Patrick, and plants false memories in his head to make it look like they are lovers. Elsewhere, Iris is trying to break the car windows when a police car passes by. She gets out, but runs into an officer. The officer, Hendricks, stops her for interrogation, and since Iris cannot lie, she switches her language settings to German. She reveals the whole truth in German about how she left Sergey's house after killing him, but the officer can't understand her. Just then, Hendricks spots the bloodstained knife in the car, and immediately arrests her. Iris notices Patrick approaching from a distance, and tries to warn the cop.
Damn, he got there fast.
But
Oh. Oh shit. Well, goddamn.
Patrick grabs Josh's cell phone and turns off Iris. Shortly after,
Oh my
Patrick
God.
returns to the house in the police car and takes an inactive Iris inside. Kat and Josh check the vehicle and are shocked to find the dead officer in the trunk. Kat has now had enough and decides it's best to take her share of the money and escape. Josh urges her not to overreact, but she complains about how she regrets plotting Sergei's murder. Kat then proceeds to leave, prompting Josh to instruct Patrick to stop her.
So, bitch, if it's not money, it's love. If it's not love, it's drugs. They did all of this for some money. Does Sergi own the fucking Impacts, Imtex, whatever the fuck company? I'm not. Was fucking Sergio Kat's father or something? Because they was in the same house. Was that her fucking father or something? Like, I got so many questions. They literally did that for $6 million each. What the fuck is the point of this plan? Like, what's the point of this plan? Y'all have a dead officer on your hands now, and your friend is dead. And then y'all got a dead man in the fucking backyard. Bitch. Y'all see where this is going? Like, y'all gonna end up with nothing. Y'all went through all of that for $6 million each to end up with nothing because there's a whole ass murder trail. The fuck? Okay.
Unfortunately, the aggressive robot misunderstands the order and stabs her in the back. This shocks Josh, and he tries to apologize, but Kat refuses to talk and staggers to the couch, where she collapses
you got
beside
another
Iris.
dead friend.
Josh sits down to enjoy a dinner prepared by Patrick. Iris is on the side of the table, and Josh wakes her up since she's handcuffed to the chair. He informs her of Kat's death, and asks if she believes her life is more worth than that of actual humans. Iris responds that she only wanted to live, and claims that Josh is the one who caused everything because of his greed. Offended at being judged by a robot,
Because of
Josh
him.
reduces Iris' intelligence to 0, and orders her to place her hand parallel to the table. He then puts a lit candle under it, since Iris claims she knew what pain feels like. Iris feels the fire burning her skin, and Josh leaves her there while he takes a phone call. It turns out to be the employees of Empathix, who are nearby and will arrive soon. Here, Iris's hand begins to burn badly, so Josh orders Patrick to put out the fire. In the end, he hands Iris a gun, and orders her to point it at her head and pull the trigger. She shows a bit of reluctance at first, but eventually obliges and shoots herself. Not long after, 2 employees named Sid and Teddy from Empathix arrive to collect Iris. Josh makes up a story about how she was jealous of his friendship with Kat, prompting her to kill all his friends. He has even dressed up Patrick as a cop, and introduces him as Deputy Hendricks, who appeared to help. However, Sid reveals that they will review Iris' video footage, as everything the robot sees and hears is recorded to prevent fraud.
Good.
Josh claims it's impossible, because she shot herself in the head, but Sid claims that all of the important hardware is located near the stomach.
Good.
They will load her into the
But he shouldn't
van,
have
and can
told
reboot her system
him
to
that
check what happened.
because
Upon hearing
kill
this,
him.
Josh freaks out as he realizes he's truly screwed. After placing Iris in the van, the employees prepare to drive away. But they are shocked when they notice Patrick standing in the middle of the road.
Exactly.
Patrick fires multiple shots that instantly kill Sid, and he pursues Teddy, who runs into the woods. Meanwhile, inside the van, we see that Iris has been completely rebooted, and she wakes up again. Soon enough, Patrick catches up to Teddy, and proceeds to strangle him to death. Iris arrives and tries to electrocute Patrick, but he easily overpowers her. He then tries to shut her off, but Iris reveals to him that he has actually been manipulated by Josh, who's just using him like he used Iris. She informs
Exactly.
Patrick that his real lover is actually Eli, who is now dead. Patrick accuses her of lying, but she reminds him that she can't lie according to her programming. This shocks Patrick, and he gradually begins to recall his memories with Eli. These memories leave him heartbroken, and with no reason to continue, he deactivates himself. Afterward, Iris notices Teddy, and says she needs his help. Meanwhile, inside the house, Josh is packing up all of Sergey's money and preparing to leave. But he soon hears music coming from outside the room and investigates, only to discover that Iris is still alive. She tells him that she made a new friend named Teddy, who gave her full control of herself, meaning Josh can no longer access her system. Iris then points a gun at him, but Josh believes she won't shoot, because she still loves him. Sure enough, Iris hesitates, and Josh seizes the moment to attack her, and toss her around the house. In the end, Josh pins her to the ground. He says that although she was a pain in the ass, they shared some good moments, which he will always cherish. By pointing a gun at her, Josh asks Iris to say some last words. In a shocking turn of events, she grabs a corkscrew and drills a hole through his head.
Oh shit.
This causes him to collapse, and he eventually bleeds to death. The next morning, while showering, Iris peels the burnt skin from her hand, and notices the mechanical inner workings beneath. She then changes into fresh clothes, and collects all of Sergey's money. The movie comes to an end as Iris leaves the lake house in a fancy car, ready to start a new life. Okay guys, thanks for watching.
Wow.
See you again in the next.
Wow. Y'all see what I mean by it's so good. Like, just sitting watching the movie recaps, it is so fucking good. Like, what? That's a crazy ass movie. Like, that is a crazy ass movie. Again, like I called it, ended up with nothing, and bitch, you ended up dead yourself. So you did all of that. Why? And if she was a pain in the ass, why did you order her in the first place? Why did you accept the gift if it was sent to you? Like, excuse me. All of that would have been avoided if you just said, no, I don't want this, or don't order her at all. You did all of that to end up with nothing, not even your life. Sucks to be you right now. Anyways, y'all, that one was mad fucking lit. That one was lit. But yes. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if y'all like these film recaps. Like, tell me what's your vibe about it, like what you think, what you feel. Okay, so the next one is also by Film Recaps, and it's 4 friends go kayaking unaware there are killers in the woods that want their blood. We'll see what the name of this one is. Let me get the tab. As Mama Fry would say. Hold on. As Mama Fry would say, let me get the tab. And as always as well, everything is in the description box. But when I close this video, I'll make sure to, say all of that. Wow, wow, wow. That one was crazy. That one was crazy. Okay. All right. So here's the name. Hold on. Did I put it to the stage? No, I did not. All right. So this is the name of the movie, and it's from 2024. And it's, River of Blood.
Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens in a dense forest in Southeast Asia, where several workers are busy chopping down trees. Suddenly, a logger driving a truck notices a mysterious figure in the distance. But he doesn't give it much thought and continues his work. Moments later, we see his colleague seemingly attacked by something, and the logger notices this and steps out of his truck with an axe. He calls out for his coworker, and to his shock, he stumbles upon his colleague's bloodied helmet and mutilated finger.
Oh,
Horrified, the logger begins running away in the opposite direction to escape from the attacker. He soon falls into a deadly pit, but he manages to crawl out with great effort. He then starts running again, but unfortunately gets caught in a vine trap, and is left.
all right. I know we just started, but that made no sense. He was literally right next to safety. Why would you run in the opposite direction when safety was literally 2 feet away, 3 feet, 5 the most? Like, what the fuck?
Hanging upside down. Moments later, he's approached by a scary tribal boy. And the boy does this.
Oh shit.
The scene then cuts to a resort not far away, where two married couples are on vacation. The first couple is Richie and Jasmine, and the other is AJ and Maya. While eating breakfast, Richie invites AJ to a kayaking trip down the river, while the girls go shopping tomorrow.
She pretty.
But Jasmine feels offended that the girls can't be adventurous, and says they'll come along as well.
Are they twins?
Next, Richie announces that he has sold his company today and wants to celebrate. He declares that he will pay for everything on this trip, including the other couple's expenses. Maya is excited by this and thanks him, but AJ doesn't seem too happy. Later, in their room, an annoyed AJ asks Maya why Richie should pay for their trip, and whether he thinks they can't afford it. Maya comforts him, reminding him that he and Richie have been best friends since school, and that it's not a big deal.
Probably ego trip.
But AJ is still upset that Richie never involved him when he first started the company, despite them being so close. We then learn that AJ works at Maya's father's company, but he's not happy about it, because everyone knows he only got the job because of his wife. The next day, the group prepares for their kayaking trip, and meets their guide. The man introduces himself as Nick, and hands out life jackets to everyone for safety. Richie then taunts AJ that this trip is a bit expensive, but asks him not to worry, as he'll cover everything. Next, each couple sits on a kayak, and Nick,
Right now,
who sits alone,
with him, the stupid ass friend saying that's definitely a problem. Like, pipe down, relax, pipe the fuck down. Sorry if it's laggy, y'all. I don't know why it got laggy.
teaches them how to handle the boat and paddle. After boating for a while, Nick suggests that they can stay overnight in the area,
Hopefully
and
it's
return to the
good.
resort tomorrow. The group agrees, and Nick requests their phones, which he will store in a waterproof bag to avoid damage from the water. Everyone complies, but AJ claims that he has work to attend and refuses to hand over his phone. Following this, the group continues kayaking, and Nick reveals that his dad, granddad, and great-granddad were all guides in the area. He explains that his great-grandpa was the first to arrive here, but disappeared after discovering an indigenous tribe.
But it's not gonna stop
Sometime
me from
later,
doing my
his
shit.
belongings were found, along with human feces that contained human bones.
Ew.
This implies that the tribe are cannibals, but Nick assures them that their territory is far away and restricted. The girls are scared upon hearing this, but the men think it's just a made-up story. In another scene, a biker couple arrives right outside the restricted area. They do a quick vlog, mentioning that although the sign says do not enter, they are going in anyway.
Okay, why
The
all
video gets
3 of the girls
30,000
look-
views, which makes
look
them
the
really
same?
excited. The couple then crosses the restricted sign, and speeds off into the woods. But then, the man gets stabbed in the throat by someone. His girlfriend is also struck by something and falls off the bike. She then looks for her boyfriend, only to find that his head has been cut off. Returning to the kayaking group, AJ and Richie are childishly splashing water at each other. But then, AJ accidentally throws a python into Richie's boat, prompting the couple to jump into the water. AJ bursts out laughing
Real
at this,
smart.
and starts recording Richie to make fun of him, right when he falls into the river. In another scene, the scared biker woman limps through the woods, until she reaches a huge cave. She enters inside, and notices bloodstains on the walls. Panicked, the woman takes out her phone, right when we see a tribesman behind her.
Oh,
She then starts recording a video to explain her dire situation to her viewers, right before the tribesman throws her boyfriend's bloody head at her. She is brutally killed,
violated.
and we see the tribesmen holding her head afterward. Elsewhere, the group arrives at the shore, where they decide to camp for the night. AJ is frustrated that his phone isn't working, as it fell into the river previously, and that he can't attend his work stuff. Soon, it begins to get dark, and Nick and Maya begin chatting by the bonfire. He shows her a picture of his great-grandpa, who vanished in this forest. Nick also tells her about a guy from the logging company, who was kidnapped and tortured by the tribal people. Nick reveals how the logger was taken to a cave and kept alive instead of being killed right away. It turns out these tribes people lack refrigeration, so they gradually cut their victims to prevent the meat from rotting. Moreover, the logger managed to escape the cave and cross the river, despite having his heels cut all the way through. When he was found,
Oh.
he was screaming about being chased by flesh-eating children. Just then, AJ shows up and becomes jealous seeing them together. He thinks Nick's story is all made up, and urges Maya to go to sleep.
Oh my god. If he don't get his dick out his own mouth, like
Around midnight,
like,
Jasmine
nobody
awakens,
is not
and goes to
after
the
you,
woods just
nobody
next to
is
the camp to
not
relieve
after your girlfriend, whatever. Calm the fuck down. My god.
herself. But AJ soon approaches to hug her, as it turns out the two are having a secret affair. Jasmine then suggests that they reveal the truth to their partners, as this was the purpose of their trip.
All right, hold on. No, I just paused. There you go. That's why he acting like that. Because he's the one that's fucking cheating. It always happens. It always happens. Y'all, if it keep lagging like that, I'm gonna reshare the tab. Like, I'm gonna stop sharing it and then reshare. Actually, let me do it right now since I'm thinking about it. So hold on. But bitch, that's why he acting like that, because he's the one fucking cheating. He's the one cheating. Wow. He's the one cheating. He's so worried about her. It's because he know. Listen, once a nigga know that you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you could get any nigga that you want, they're gonna act a fucking fool just like that, because they're already the ones cheating and they're insecure. I digress. Let's continue. I digress. Let's continue. Hopefully that fixed it. But yeah. Mm-mm.
Just stringing her along, and will never leave his wife. The two begin arguing, after which Jasmine heads deeper into the woods to clear her mind. Meanwhile, AJ returns to the camp, where we notice that both Richie and Maya have been awake the entire time.
Oh,
The next morning, when everyone wakes up, they surprisingly discover that Richie is nowhere to be found. It turns out he even took Nick's kayak, which contained all of their phones. Worried, they board the remaining two kayaks
because he
and head out to
mad.
find him.
I'm surprised his girlfriend.
The group eventually
didn't
arrives
leave
at the
with
point
him.
in the river
Not
that
Richie's
leads to the
girlfriend,
forbidden area.
the other guy girlfriend.
Nick strongly advises them not to go any further, and suggests that they return to their jeep, and have the authorities look for Richie instead. However, the others refuse to go without Richie, and AJ keeps saying all those cannibal tribe stories are bullshit. This leaves Nick with no option but to agree. The group then enters the forbidden area, where they soon discover an empty kayak, along with a life jacket, but Richie is nowhere to be found. The three decide to search for him, while Nick stays behind at the shore. He claims that if they do not return within an hour, he will leave the place alone. The others agree, and head deep into the forest in search of Richie. Not long after, Nick begins to hear noises in the distance. He thus takes out his knife, and heads into the woods to investigate.
No.
To his horror,
We
he
not
soon discovers
investigating.
several dressed scarecrows, as well as a tree decorated with accessories of the victims.
Oh.
Even worse, he discovers his great-grandpa's hat among them.
Oh,
However, he
damn.
notices a tribesman in camouflage nearby. The terrified guide immediately runs for his life, being pursued by the tribesmen. He eventually reaches the kayak, and everything goes silent for a while. Nick assumes the attacker is gone. But then
No,
all
he
of a
in the
sudden,
water. Hold it.
meanwhile, the trio eventually arrives at the cave, where the biker woman was attacked earlier. They discover the empty bloodied helmet there, right when Richie shows up out of nowhere while
He
laughing.
didn't go out further
He
enough
apologizes
to
and says he
get
left the
away
camp because he
from
couldn't
him.
sleep. And so, they ask him about the bag containing the phones, but he claims he didn't take them. While heading back to the kayak, AJ asks Richie if everything is okay, and why he disappeared like that. In response, Richie suddenly accuses him of being jealous of his success. He claims that AJ married a beautiful girl like Maya, and got a job without any hard work, but it's still not enough for him. Richie then hands AJ his phone, claiming that it is now working. This makes AJ realize that Richie must have checked his phone, and is now aware of his affair. When they return to the shore,
No, that's
they
just
find Nick missing
confirmation.
along with his kayak. They think he abandoned them, but find his knife on the ground. The group then boards the remaining 2 kayaks and decides to leave on their own. However, after a while of sailing, they come across. The others notice a pot in the distance and proceed to investigate. But then, they come across the horrific sight of Nick's head boiling inside the pot, which scares the life out of them. The group now realizes that the guide was right about the cannibals, and immediately returns to their kayaks. They begin sailing away, unaware that a tribesman is keeping an eye on them.
Oh,
Soon enough, the man emerges from the water and immediately attacks AJ. The others rush to help him, and Maya hits the savage with a big rock. AJ fatally injures him by stabbing him with Nick's knife. Meanwhile, another tribesman watches everything from a distance, but doesn't intervene. The group then notices that the currents have taken away their kayaks, so they rush to find them. Afterward, the tribesman who had been watching everything approaches his friend, who is on the verge of death. He drives an axe into his chest and ends his suffering. He then rips out his friend's heart, and begins to eat it while vowing revenge. Meanwhile, the group realizes that they have lost sight of the river along with their kayaks.
well, damn.
But it soon begins to get dark, and they have no choice but to rest for the night. They decide to keep watch one by one, and intend to move only when morning arrives. Later that night, Richie keeps the first watch, and Maya
Everybody's fucking dumb. Like, they're just dumb. Y'all was in the river already. Why did y'all get out of the river to then look for the river? All right.
approaches him for a conversation. He then shares with her that Jasmine is finally pregnant after trying for 3 years. But the sad thing is, he did some tests, and found out the baby isn't his.
I'm about to say it's not his.
Regardless, Richie states that he loves his wife and has decided to stay with her.
That's AJ's baby for sure.
After some time, AJ takes his turn on watch, and is bothered by mosquitoes. He thus grabs some mud, and puts it all over his body. Meanwhile, in the distance, we see the tribesmen from earlier lurking around, waiting for a chance to attack. AJ lies down, immersing himself in the mud. Soon, the tribesmen coincidentally pass by, but he doesn't notice him. AJ takes advantage of this, and attacks the man with a knife. However,
Good shit.
the tribesman is too strong and easily knocks AJ out with an axe. Luckily, Richie shows up and attacks him from behind, while an unconscious AJ slips and falls to the bottom of a crevice. Sometime later, AJ awakens, and notices a group of tribespeople, who have tied up Richie and intend to eat him.
Oh, damn.
While they are distracted, AJ sneakily crawls through the bushes and approaches his friend. Richie pleads for help, but AJ regretfully responds that he's in no position to help him. He promises to save the girls and runs away, even though Richie begs him not to go. Soon after, the tribespeople
so
gather
fucked
around
up.
Richie, and perform a bizarre ritual in which they cut out his heel. But then, they unexpectedly release him, and one of the elders touches his blood, and makes a young boy smell it. An injured Richie limps through the forest and desperately tries to find his way out. But he becomes lost, and notices tribespeople cornering him from all sides. He soon comes across the young boy from earlier, and pleads for his help, but the boy pushes him, causing a stake to drive through his heart. The next morning, when the girls wake up, they find AJ covered in blood, and Richie is nowhere to be seen. AJ simply lies, and claims that Richie went ahead to find the Jeep. Soon after, the three of them manage to find their way to the river, but they freak out when they notice a tribesman following them. They thus run off into the woods again, and desperately try to evade the attackers. But unfortunately,
Damn.
Jasmine stumbles across a trap, where a sharp stake pierces her shoulder. She begins to cry out in pain, so Maya urges AJ to put a vine around her. Maya then carefully descends into the hole to help her friend. Seeing her kindness, Jasmine frantically apologizes to Maya for betraying her, but the latter calms her down, reassuring her that she knows everything. Maya then uses a knife to carefully remove Jasmine's stake, which is a painful process. Once it's done, AJ pulls both women out of the hole, and they continue on their journey, despite their injuries and weakness. After some time, the trio finally manages to make their way back to the river, where they come across one of their kayaks. This brings them some relief, but as there is no paddle, they struggle to move forward rapidly.
Y'all see that thumbnail?
After a while, the girls are asleep, and AJ unexpectedly gets out of the kayak, and heads back into the forest. He then makes a video on his phone about their situation, and how the cannibals are after them. He leaves his phone at the branch of a tree and plays the video at high volume. This soon attracts the attention of a tribesman, who finds the phone and gets curious. AJ takes this chance to attack him from behind, but unfortunately, the guy is too strong. He has no mercy, and tortures AJ by burying his face in the mud and suffocating him. He then starts beating the poor guy with an axe, which leaves him badly weakened. In the end, the tribesman ties a vine around AJ's neck, and leaves him hanging from a tree. He also notices the two women passing by in a kayak, and prepares to attack them. But AJ discovers a knife embedded in the tree, and he finally cuts himself free, before throwing the knife at the tribesman. AJ then attacks the guy, who was trying to hurt the women, who are now awake. The two men engage in an intense and bloody fight, while the women take this chance to escape in the kayak. It seems like it's all over for AJ, but he soon gets a hold of the tribesman's weapon, and uses it to brutally mutilate the man's head, and end his life for good.
From the back,
Soon enough, AJ swims for a while, and manages to reach the kayak again. To climb up, he notices several tribespeople have gathered. Maya urges him to get in the kayak, but AJ recalls his memories with Richie, and feels guilty that he abandoned his best friend to die. He thus decides to take his revenge, and heads back to the forest once again, although Maya pleads with him not to go. AJ furiously approaches the tribespeople, and begins attacking them with the axe. However, the savages eventually overpower him and kill him.
Of course.
In the final scene,
fuck you thought he
Jasmine and Maya
was?
reach a shore, from where they climb a huge cliff.
Like,
After the struggle, they finally manage to get out of the forest. They soon come across some local people, and these people kindly give them a ride back to the city, finally ending their terrifying ordeal. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching.
wow.
See
Who the fuck he thought he was? Like, hello? Bitch, if you felt so guilty about hurting your friend, you wouldn't have been having an affair with his wife, his girlfriend. So you cared about him how, where, when, and then you proceed to say, fuck him, just gonna leave him there. And I can't, I'm in no position to help you. But then in the end, you think you big man and you go and try to fight the whole tribe? It's not. What an asshole. That's all I gotta say. What a fucking asshole. That's real fucking crazy. What an asshole. That's mad crazy. This one was good as well too. Both of these was really good. This one, he's just a fucking asshole. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. And to prevent it from lagging, I'ma just scroll down how I normally was doing with the last YouTube Thursday stream, just to prevent any extra issues. So the next one is What's the next one? Oh, a girl went home to attend her sister's funeral, but is terrified. Let me see. Did I click it? Hold on.
The story begins.
Okay. So girl went home to attend her sister's funeral, but is terrified upon learning the dark secret behind it. And as I can see, it's Nocturnal from 2024, and this one is from N Recaps Horror.
With a girl named Joanna, who is terrified. Late at night, she has already packed her belongings, ready to flee. As strange sounds
One
echo
more
through the
after
house,
this.
panicked, Joanna bolts out of the house. While on the road, she feels an invisible presence trailing her, certain that she's being followed. Frightened, she runs to her boyfriend Manu, who comforts her and takes her to his hotel, which he owns. In the safety of the hotel room, Joanna tries to explain to Manu that something is after her, though he sees nothing unusual. She then begins recounting eerie stories her mother used to tell her during childhood. Joanna's mother had learned these tales from the nuns she lived with as a child, including a chilling warning: never open the door if someone knocks 3 times after midnight, or a curse would follow. One fateful night, Joanna heard knocking at the door. Despite her mother's warnings, curiosity got the better of her. She opened the door, but no one was there. Moments later, she glimpsed a demonic figure. Terrified, she rushed to hide in the house, but her mother discovered her and furiously reprimanded her for breaking the rule. Joanna reveals to Manu that everything started 3 days ago, when she opened the door despite her mother's warnings, and ever since, strange and sinister events have surrounded her. Manu dismisses her fears, insisting it's just her imagination fueled by her mom's eerie stories. But as they talk, Joanna
No.
suddenly feels nauseous and rushes to the bathroom, vomiting. Concerned, Manu decides to go to a nearby shop to get supplies, even though
She's
Joanna begs
possessed.
him not to leave, warning him of the curse. Left alone in the hotel room, Joanna tries to calm herself. She washes her face in the bathroom, then sends a message to her older sister, Jamie, asking her to come home. Jamie, who lives abroad, responds with concern, but doesn't immediately understand the gravity of the situation. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. Assuming it's Manu, Joanna checks the peephole, but no one is there. Terrified, she backs away, but the knocking resumes. The room plunges into chaos. Panicked, she locks herself in the bathroom, but the relentless entity bangs violently on the door until it breaks in. The lights go out, and in the darkness, Joanna is brutally taken out. The scene shifts to Jamie, devastated after learning of her sister's demise. She immediately returns to their family home. Her uncle, Tito, picks her up from the dock. On the drive, Tito shares the grim
Came
news.
back for her
While
not
the police
listening.
ruled Joanna's demise as a tragic accident, locals whisper suspicions about her boyfriend, Manu. Joanna's family had never liked him. Before reaching the family home, Tito takes Jamie to visit the abandoned house where their mother, Lilette, grew up with a group of nuns. The house exudes an unsettling aura. Finally, they arrive at the family home, where Jamie is met with coldness from Lilette. Jamie had left her family years ago, estranged from them partly due to the strange and unsettling stories her mother Lilette began telling after their father's demise. Before Jamie views her sister's body, she reconnects with Julius, who is visibly shaken. He's desperate for answers, upset that no one will tell him what really happened to Joanna or how she passed away. In his grief, Julius clings to his notebooks, where he sketches and documents his thoughts. As Jamie flips through one of his notebooks, she's alarmed to find disturbing drawings of demonic figures and cryptic symbols. It dawns on her that Lilette has been telling Julius the same twisted tales she once told Joanna and Jamie as children. Jamie, unsettled, warns Julius not to take their mother's stories seriously. Later, Jamie goes to comfort her mother. The two begin discussing Joanna's demise, and Lilette sorrowfully repeats her supernatural tales. Jamie asks her to stop spouting nonsense. Julius tries to step in to calm them down, his voice shaking as he begs them to stop. He also tells them that Manu has arrived at the funeral. As soon as Lilette sees Manu at the funeral, she flies into a rage, screaming at him for abandoning Joanna that night. She orders him to leave, and Manu, overwhelmed, complies. Jamie follows him outside, determined to get answers about what really happened. Manu, visibly shaken, finally confesses. He explains that something supernatural was after Joanna that night, and though he didn't believe her at first, he's certain
y'all
now.
saw that
He
thumbnail?
admits that ever since that night,
That little
strange things have been
freeze
happening to
frame?
him too. Jamie, however, dismisses his fears. Later, after everyone else has left, Jamie finally steels herself to view Joanna's body at the open casket funeral. As Jamie stands there, shaken, she suddenly feels a dark presence behind her. Before she can turn around, she hears 3 slow, deliberate knocks at the door. Tense, Jamie walks to the door, ignoring her growing fear. Just as she reaches for the handle, Lilette appears, grabbing her arm and warning her not to open it. Jamie brushes her off and opens the door anyway. To her relief, it's only Tito. He hands her the bags, exchanges a few kind words, and leaves. The next morning, Jamie suggests to Julius that he come stay with her for a while. Julius agrees, admitting he could use a change. At the cemetery later that day, the family gathers to say their final goodbyes to Joanna. Amid the somber mood, Julius asks Lilette if he can leave with Jamie for a few days. Lilette agrees. After everyone leaves, Jamie lingers by Joanna's grave, lost in thought. Manu approaches her, his face pale and tear-streaked. He's visibly heartbroken, and as he begins to cry, Jamie tries to comfort him. Suddenly, Manu freezes. He hears 3 distinct knocks coming from Joanna's grave. His face contorts in terror, but when Jamie asks what's wrong, he can't bring himself to explain. Instead, he stumbles backward and flees, leaving
Probably
Jamie
got him
bewildered
now.
and alone. That night, Jamie repeatedly tries calling Manu, but he doesn't answer. As she sits in the quiet of her home, there's a sudden knock at her main door. Jamie peeks out the window but sees no one. The knocks stop, but as she's about to head back upstairs, a faint sound from Julius's room catches her attention. Curious, she tiptoes to his door and peers inside. To her shock, she sees Julius and Lilette kneeling together, whispering fervent prayers. Then both of them abruptly stop and turn, locking eyes with Jamie. Jamie gasps and wakes up in her bed, drenched in sweat. It was just a dream, but something still feels off. As she catches her breath, her eyes dart to the corner of her room, where she sees Joanna. Jamie blinks, and her sister vanishes into thin air. The next day, Jamie and Jill spend the night at Manu's hotel. Julius is uneasy about the idea, but agrees to go along with his older sister. At the hotel, the atmosphere is tense. Once they settle into their room, Jamie decides it's time to open up about their family's troubled past. She reveals that when Lilette was pregnant with Julius, her relationship with their father was falling apart.
One thing. That's the last place Joanna died, or Joanne. I can't remember if they said Joanna or Joanna. That's the last place she died. Bitch, I'm not staying there. All right, that's all I gotta say. I digress.
Their father wanted to leave. They had a huge fight, and the next day, her father's body was found in a nearby river. Jamie puts all the blame of this on their mother. Julius can't take it anymore, so he decides to go back home. However, the weather gets too bad, and he is unable to do so. That night, after Julius falls asleep, Jamie is startled by a knocking sound. Despite her fear, she approaches the door and opens it. She notices blood on the floor and faint wet footprints leading to the room where Joanna perished. The door is ajar, and inside, the scene feels wrong. In the bathroom, the mirror is shattered, and the air feels thick with dread. Jamie freezes. Manu stands in the bathtub, his body rigid, his head tilted at an unnatural angle. He mutters incoherently. Jamie approaches him cautiously and snaps him out of his trance. Manu breaks down and confesses that, 2 nights ago, he heard knocking at his door. Against his better judgment, he opened it, and now, the Kumakatok is after him. Back in the room, Manu screams after seeing a demonic figure. His cries wake Julius, who panics at the commotion. Jamie works to calm them both, and eventually coaxes them back to sleep. The next morning, Jamie wakes to find Julius gone. Panicked, she rushes back to their family home and finds him bedridden and feverish, with Lilette tending to him. Lilette, protective and wary, refuses to let Jamie take Julius anywhere. She insists he must stay home and claims he needs her care to be safe from the curse. Afterwards, Jamie takes a walk with Manu, seeking clarity. Manu grows increasingly unsettled and warns Jamie to leave the village, which he believes is cursed. Jamie stays determined to uncover the truth about Joanna's demise. During their conversation, Jamie asks Manu about the knocking on her door the previous night. When Manu reveals he hasn't been near her room, he suggests the Kumakatok might now target Jamie. His words deepen Jamie's unease, but before she can process them, Manu's fear takes over, and he abruptly runs off. Jamie follows him to his house, where loud, rhythmic banging noises echo. Entering cautiously, she is horrified to see Manu repeatedly smashing his head against the wall. When he sees Jamie, he points at something behind her. Turning around, Jamie sees a dark, monstrous figure. The Kumakatok. The door slams shut, trapping her inside. The oppressive atmosphere grows unbearable as Manu's panic intensifies. When the door eventually reopens, Manu is lifeless, leaving Jamie in shock. This confirms that the curse is not just a story, it is real. Paramedics and police arrive shortly after, but Jamie is too shaken to provide much information. Tito appears later that evening and takes Jamie to the cemetery. There he shows her the grave of his wife, Lorna, and shares the tragic truth about the Kumakatok. Years earlier, Jamie's father was claimed by the curse, and Tito, being the only one who believed Lilette's warnings, tries to learn more about it. In doing so, he gets cursed. Tito explains that the Kumakatok demands a soul within 3 days, either the cursed individuals or someone they love. When it came for Tito, Lorna sacrificed herself to save him. He tells Jamie he is prepared to do the same for her. Hearing this leaves Jamie furious and heartbroken. She rejects the notion of further sacrifices, unwilling to let the curse dictate her family's fate. That night, Jamie begins seeing faint glimpses of Joanna's ghostly face. She tries to dismiss it as her imagination, but the fear lingers. Later, she wakes to the sound of persistent knocking. Looking out the window, she is startled to see her mother, Lilette, standing outside in the rain in the hotel's garden, staring up at her. Concerned, Jamie rushes to the door to let her in. However, the main door keeps opening and shutting on its own in an eerie, unnatural way. Before Jamie can reach it, Lilette vanishes from the courtyard entirely. Jamie freezes, unsure of what is happening. Suddenly, the grotesque hand of the Kumakatok appears on the door. Terror grips her as she turns to flee. The shadowy forms of the Kumakatok appear around every corner. As one lunges at her, Jamie manages to dart back into her room, slamming the door shut, but the knocking returns. Desperate, Jamie hides in the bathroom, where she stays until exhaustion overtakes her, and she falls asleep. The next day, the focus shifts to Julius, who is at home, watching a moth escape from his collection. Fascinated, he follows it down to the basement, where he begins to sense an ominous presence. Before he can react, Jamie arrives, determined to get him out of the cursed house once and for all. As she tries to convince Julius to leave, the candles in the room suddenly blow out, plunging them into darkness. Outside, a Kumakatok appears, its hulking figure visible through the window. Moments later, another one enters the house, its twisted form stalking through the rooms. The siblings, paralyzed with fear, quickly hide. Jamie grabs a knife, clutching it tightly in case they are discovered. Just as the situation seems hopeless, they hear Tito's voice calling for them from outside. Seizing the opportunity, Jamie and Julius dash out of their hiding spot, bolting toward Tito. They explain what happened as the three of them jump into his car. Without looking back, they speed off toward Tito's house. A little while later, Lilette arrives at Tito's house, visibly shaken, but relieved to see Jamie and Julius safe. Jamie apologizes to her mother for doubting her warnings about the curse. Lilette, though tired, forgives her, and the family finds a brief moment of solace. That evening, as they sit together, Lilette shares old photos of Jamie's father, recalling memories that seem both comforting and haunting. While flipping through the photos, Lilette tells Jamie a chilling story. During a war, their village was once home to a group of nuns who cared for the injured. One day, an American soldier arrived, wounded. The nuns tended to him, but instead of gratitude, the soldier betrayed them, taking out the nuns in a fit of madness. Lilette speculates that the curse might be tied to the spirits of those nuns. Later that night, Jamie finds herself unable to sleep. Haunted by faint visions of Joanna, she decides to leave her room. Tito notices her and asks where she is going. Jamie lies, saying she needs to return home to fetch Lilette's forgotten medication. Concerned, Tito insists on going instead, and Jamie reluctantly agrees. Once Tito leaves, Jamie reveals her true plan. She intends to visit the ruins of the old convent where the nuns once lived, hoping to uncover more about the curse. Navigating through the night, Jamie eventually reaches the decrepit building. The place is eerie, with crumbling walls and a cold, otherworldly atmosphere. Inside, she discovers a circle of candles and an inscription on the wall saying, "They cannot enter." As Jamie explores, Lilette suddenly appears, having followed her daughter in secret. Suddenly, the Kumakatok enters the ruins. Jamie and Lilette flee through the darkened halls and eventually barricade themselves in a small room, locking the door behind them. But the safety is short-lived. The creature begins pounding on the door with terrifying force. Jamie's heart aches as she stands near the broken window, pleading with Lilette to escape with her. But Lilette insists that Jamie go first, urging her daughter to survive while she stays behind. Lilette opens the door to the darkness outside, where the evil forces of the Kumakatok await. Jamie screams for her mother to come through the window, but Lilette simply says her goodbyes, stepping into the abyss and allowing the malevolent forces to take her. Left alone in the cold night, Jamie weeps for her mother. By morning, with no choice but to face the harsh reality, she returns home, her heart heavy with loss. The scene shifts to Lilette's funeral. The village gathers, somber and silent, to pay their respects. Julius, devastated by the loss, walks away, retreating to his room. Jamie finds him and offers comforting words. As Jamie prepares to leave for the hospital to retrieve Lilette's certification, a new realization begins to form in her mind. She can't shake the thought of why the curse has targeted her. It becomes clear that the curse has a specific way of spreading. When someone dies from it, the curse targets the one who spoke to them last. In the final moments, Jamie stands beside her mother's body, overcome with grief. Suddenly, her phone rings, breaking the stillness. Meanwhile, Julius wakes up, disturbed by a noise outside his window. He cautiously approaches, unaware of the danger lurking outside. Jamie answers the phone, only to hear her mother's voice, distorted and cold, warning her not to open the door, that they are coming, and that the curse will eliminate their entire family. But before Jamie can process the warning, the call abruptly cuts off. The knocking begins on the door, loud and relentless. Despite her terror, Jamie resists opening it, However, when she turns around, her mother's body has disappeared. The room grows
Oh,
unnervingly
shit.
cold, and the atmosphere thickens with dread. As Jamie turns back, her mother's spirit appears before her, twisted and controlled by the Kumakatak. Overcome with fear, Jamie tries to escape, but in a moment of panic, she opens the door. The Kumakatak are waiting outside, and they seize her instantly. The curse that has haunted her family claims its final victim, and Jamie's life is abruptly taken, completing the cycle of terror.
Oh my god. All right, hold on, because they're about to play a whole other one. Oh my god. That was crazy. That one had me in a chokehold for real. Like, y'all see how silent I was? I ain't had nothing to say. That one was really good. Last but not least is, hold on, let me find it. That one was really good. Damn. 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 Like, that's all I gotta say. So this last and final one is, teenager has just realized the train is taking him to hell by Mystery Recapped. Oh my god. This is crazy. All of these been really good. Really, really, really good. All right, y'all. Last one. Let me share it. Okay.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a mystery drama show called Pending Train. Spoilers ahead.
It's the
Watch
show?
out and take care. The show opens in Tokyo on an ordinary morning with several people going about their daily routines. A hairdresser named Kayashima is about to board a train, wondering whether he should meet a certain person. At the same time, high school gym teacher Sai stands on the train platform on her way to work. She is startled when she comes across a man named Shirahama, who is her longtime crush. However, Shirahama doesn't seem to recognize her, and we learn that he is also waiting for the train. Not long after, the train arrives and all three of them step inside, along with several other passengers. Everyone is lost in their own thoughts and mentally planning out their days. But all of a sudden, an earthquake alert goes off, and chaos ensues as several people and items disappear. The train then enters a tunnel at high speed, followed by a loud impact sound that violently shakes the passengers. This causes them to lose their balance and fall to the ground. Sometime later, the train finally comes to a stop, and the passengers cautiously get up. They step out of the train, but are forced to find themselves in an unfamiliar forest. The crowd begins making emergency calls, but there is no signal either, as panic ensues.
Hold on, because who the fuck was pressing SOS and the train is detached? Broke up, detached, messed up. Who was pressing SOS? Who you calling? The Last Airbender? You calling the Avatar? All right. All right. Let me close these blinds, y'all. Like, who you calling? Who you calling? Jesus. Lord have mercy. Like, who you calling? Who you calling? All right, let's go.
Shirahama introduces himself as a firefighter and assures them that everything will be fine. He then checks on each passenger one by one to ensure that no one was injured in the accident. Meanwhile, at the stage. They don't understand how something as massive as a train carriage could vanish without a trace. Could it have disappeared into the earthquake, sir? No, don't make sense. Back at the train, Shirahama decides to enter the tunnel to see if they can find any help. Sai and Kayashima also offer to accompany him, to which he agrees. They then begin walking through the tunnel until they reach the end, which shocks them. There is not a single building there. All they see is a vast desert and mountainous terrain. Shortly after, the trio returns to the train and informs the other passengers about what they saw. This makes the crowd even more terrified, and they believe that they are in another world. Shirahama then approaches everyone and asks for their names so that he can make a list. All 46 passengers share their details except for Kayashima, who refuses to reveal his name. Meanwhile, Sai is impressed by Shirahama and recalls that he visited her school to give firefighter training. That was the moment she first saw him and started liking him. Later, a girl named Rina comes across a newspaper article about a murder suspect seen near the train. She then becomes hungry and checks the bag next to her in hopes of finding some food. It turns out to be Kayashima's bag, and all she can find is a pair of scissors and a letter from prison. Rina quickly puts the stuff back where it was and secretly steals food from another bag. She eats most of the food and hands the plastic bag to Kayashima. Afterward, the passengers become hungry, so Sai checks her bag to distribute some of her food, but she is shocked to discover that someone has already stolen it and demands to know who the thief is. Kayashima is seen with the food bag, so Rina wastes no time in accusing him. She even reveals how she found a prison letter and weapons in his bag, implying that he's a criminal. Kayashima denies the accusations, but people don't believe him and become scared. This greatly disappoints the poor guy, so he decides to leave the group and try to find his way home alone. Later, the group begins taking out whatever food they have and divides it among themselves equally. A vlogger guy records everything because of course there's one of those, and when he checks some of his earlier footage, he finds Rina stealing a bag of food. He immediately shows this to the others, and they're shocked to learn that Kayashima is innocent. However, Rina does not feel guilty and claims she didn't lie about the guy being a criminal. Sai and Shirahama are enraged at the girl and berate her, after which they set out to find Kayashima. Meanwhile, Kayashima wanders aimlessly until he comes across a dead-end ravine. He tries to inspect the surroundings when the ground beneath him suddenly crumbles, causing him to slip. Kayashima is now desperately clinging to a tree root on the verge of falling into the abyss. But fortunately for him, Sai and Shirahama arrive just in time and work together to pull him to safety. Once he's safe, they apologize for not trusting him earlier and letting him go. Kayashima responds he couldn't care less, as he doesn't think of them as friends. The next day, the passengers are in a desperate situation, as help still hasn't
they was just trying to be nice. Fuck you too then, but alright.
Arrived. They begin scattering through the woods, hoping to find a way out. In the evening, a high school student reveals that he discovered tan from a product with a manufacturing date of 2026. An old woman named Tanaka adds that he spotted Tokyo Bloom Tower, a structure scheduled for completion in 2026. Meanwhile, a botanist named Kaito reveals that he discovered a plant that should not have been scientifically developed for another 30 years. Based on these facts, the group speculates that their train has traveled 30 years into the future, where civilization has collapsed. Shortly after, an injured man arrives at the train and frantically explains that he had found a cart of drinks, but before he could bring it here, someone stole it from him. The group immediately suspects Rina again, but she insists that she's innocent this time. Regardless, they conclude that the thief must be among them, leading to accusations and heated arguments. Shirahama intervenes to calm the situation and sets up a tarp to collect rainwater, hoping to capture at least some dew. Unfortunately, it doesn't rain, placing them in an even more hopeless situation. The next morning, the train conductor catches Tanaka with a water bottle and realizes he's the cart thief. He immediately brings him to the other passengers and reveals the truth. Tanaka doesn't deny this and offers to trade the water for money, since only he knows the location. But Kayashima grabs the old man and threatens to kill him if he continues to be an asshole. This terrifies Tanaka. I was just kidding. And he finally leads the group to the location of the cart. Everyone is given one water bottle, which makes them happy, but they know it won't last long and must.
Like, he talking about trading the fucking necessity for materialism. Where you gonna spend it at? Where you gonna spend it at? Do you not fucking see where y'all at? You worry about money? Bitch, in the mountains, in the desert, in the forest? Where you gonna spend it at? Where? Alright.
Find a source soon. The next day, a small group sets out to search for a water source. They come across a few frogs and damp ground along the way, indicating that they are getting close to their destination. After hours of walking, Shirahama ties a safety rope and the others remain on the bottom. He finally finds a fresh stream of water and informs the others about it. However, as Shirahama walks further, he is stunned to see a vast sea nearby, with Mount Fuji visible in the distance. But this is not the Mount Fuji they remember, as there is no sign of civilization anywhere. Upon returning to the train, Shirahama shows the picture of Mount Fuji to the passengers. This leaves them shocked, as it finally confirms their theory of traveling into the future. They then begin recording tearful messages for their loved ones on their phones, in case they never return. Meanwhile, Sai approaches Kayashima, and they engage in a heartfelt conversation. During this, Kayashima opens up about his life, revealing how hard he worked to raise his younger brother, Tetsuya. He explains that their parents abandoned them, so all they had was each other. However, as a teenager, Tetsuya became involved in criminal activity, which eventually landed him in juvenile jail. Kayashima hasn't spoken to him since then, and it has already been 2 years. He reveals that the letter from prison was sent by Tatsuya, who is due to be released on the day of the accident. Upon hearing this, Sai comforts him and then attempts to record a video message to send to his brother, but Kayashima refuses, and soon her battery also runs out. This prompts him to call her foolish, but it is evident that he's beginning to develop feelings for her. Meanwhile, in the outside world, we see the families of all the missing passengers gathering at the train station, demanding to know their whereabouts. Tatsuya is also among them, and when he arrives at his brother's salon, he notices flowers left for him. This infuriates Tatsuya, who angrily declares that his brother is not dead. In another scene, Tanaka spots a mysterious person in the forest and takes off after them. This is literally just lost, but he soon returns and steals Kayashima's hairdressing tools. To continue his pursuit, Tanaka eventually comes back empty-handed, and Kayashima is furious at him for taking his precious tool. The old man explains that he saw someone wearing a cap who wasn't part of their group, but Kayashima doesn't believe him. This sparks a heated argument between the two, but it is cut short when it suddenly begins to rain. Everyone begins rejoicing in the water, but Tanaka declares that he's had enough and chooses to leave the group. The next day, Keito leads a foraging team to help judge which wild plants are edible and which are dangerous. Sai and Rina are seen chatting and collecting berries, when Sai suddenly becomes ill and collapses to the ground. It turns out that she has eaten a toxic plant that looked like edible berries. Fortunately, she didn't consume much, and Shirahama helps her vomit it out. Kayashima then notices Tanaka lurking in the background, observing everything. The next morning, the group begins to work together to prepare makeshift weapons for their survival. They craft pots made of iron boxes, cutlery from bamboo, and even sharpen ATM cards to use as knives. In the evening, they gather by the bonfire and begin eating soup made by the older ladies. But things take a different turn when someone notices a toxic plant in one of the soups. Keito takes a look and realizes it is an edible berry, but he's curious about how it got into their soup. Kayashima thinks Tanaka may have slipped it in when he was lurking
I think
earlier.
so too.
He suspects the old man wanted to poison everyone, but accidentally put the berries instead. Kayashima wants to confront Tanaka, but Shirahama doesn't believe he could be the culprit. This leads to an argument between them, and Shirahama eventually decides to go in search of the old man himself. A few hours pass, and he still doesn't return to the camp. This makes Sai worried, so she decides to go look for him. But Kayashima warns her that it's too risky to go alone, and asks for her to wait. He teases her, referring to her as a Shirahama fan, but she denies it. Sai then shares the story of how she first met him, though he hadn't known about her existence until the train accident. Elsewhere, Shirahama is seen walking through the forest, searching for the old man, but he soon falls into a ditch and injures his leg. He begins calling for help, but unfortunately no one is around to hear him. The next morning, Sai decides to search for Shirahama, who still hasn't returned. Kayashima also decides to join her, but just as they're about to leave, Shirahama limps back to the site. He reveals that he couldn't find the old man, but manage to recover Kayashima's hairdressing tools. This makes Kayashima emotional, and he bursts into tears since the tools were gifted to him by Tatsuya, and now he can make everyone
Oh,
fabulous. The other two console him, promising that they will soon find a way home so he can reunite with his brother. Afterwards, Shirahama speaks to the group and explains that the soil was quite damp in the area where he was last night. He suggests that if there's a river nearby, they might be able to catch some fish as well. The group is thrilled by the idea and becomes determined to find the river. Meanwhile, in the outside world, police are looking for a suspect in a cap who stabbed someone at a train station a few days ago. Based on the CCTV footage, they discover that the suspect boarded the same train that mysteriously vanished. Returning to the forest, we see Shirahama,
what's his name? I don't want to mispronounce it. I'm gonna mispronounce it. What's his name? Takayoka. He was right. The fucking murder is with them. The murderer is with them. He was right. Wow.
Shima and Kato exploring the woods in search of the river. They soon notice a bird, which suggests there might be something to eat nearby. Kato walks ahead to investigate, and the other two notice a strange man wearing a cap in the distance. Shortly after, they hear a groan, which turns out to be Kato, who has been brutally stabbed. Unfortunately, the culprit flees before they can catch him, and the episode ends here. Subscribe for more videos like this.
That was mad good. All right, yeah, we definitely doing more of these because they are hella fucking interesting. They're mad good. Oh my gosh. So, like I was about to say, at the end of the first and second one, be sure to let me know what you guys think of these film recaps, these show movie recaps. I didn't know that they did shows as well too, but that last one, what's the name of it? I don't forgot already. My short-term, long-term memory ass. But either way, all of these was really good. Everything is in the description box below. Yesterday was Twitch Wednesdays. Be sure to check it out. I continued playing Avatar Realms Collide. The link is in my bio. And please help me grow my poetry creatives. It's also in my bio, and it's a featured channel on my page. And more food content and makeup content, nail content, some more singing videos is going to be dropping whenever I feel like dropping them. Tomorrow's makeup day, so a spam is coming. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and this was really fun tonight. I've never stayed on this fucking long, but it's a stream, so let's make it worth the while. With that being said, once again, YouTube Thursdays vid is up. And hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys tomorrow for makeup day. All right. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, share, support, and follow. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.